Hey guys, welcome back to the Shoost slash Vtuber Studio tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll be showing you how to achieve the Dutch angle meta trend as seen probably going around on Twitter. And I know as I'm recording this video, the trend is kind of gone and done, but I figured I would still make the tutorial for people had been wanting to know how. And I totally haven't been meaning to make a part two for this series for like 2-3 months now. So I'm doing it now. But yeah, so in this video, I'll be showing you how to achieve certain cinematic looks as you saw in the intro and how to achieve the Dutch angle. Okay, so here we are inside of VTube Studio. What we're going to do is we're going to go into the effects tab, and then when you go over to the camera, yeah, you want to scroll all the way down. And first things first is we're going to do the color match that we always do. And then you can set the brightness and overlay to whatever your preference is. And then next thing what we're going to do is the actual positioning of the model to get that to make him sideways. Now, I actually didn't know how to do this before, but when I found out how, it's super easy. So all you want to do is literally just hold control and then move your scroll wheel up or down, and then that will then allow you to rotate the model. So for me, a lot of people do a more zoomed in because my model's got quite broad shoulders. So I'm going to just have him a bit at an angle, maybe size him up a bit around there. I think that's in around. Yeah, I think that's good. So I'm going to just have him like there. And then that is literally all you have to do inside of the studio. Now let's move over to Shoost. Okay, now we're back inside Shoost. As you can see, I'm nice and sideways. Obviously, I have set up my VTuber and everything already to be in Shoost. Obviously, when you open Shoost, it will have the little color grid and the anime person. Obviously, I'm just gonna skip over a few parts because I've already gone super in depth on the whole setup in the last video. So if you haven't checked that out already, I definitely recommend you do so. But once again, I also want to thank you guys so much for the support on that video. It's really not expecting. So thank you, thank you, thank you for that. But yeah, anyway, so you have your model set up. So the first thing we're going to do is select a background. Now, for this, I'm just going to use I believe it's like a stock image of a shrine like you saw in the intro. So now, unfortunately, the picture for me is quite small. As you can see, it's quite small back there. But with a bit of trickery, we can easily fix this. So just scale it up like so. Maybe just make it quite large. And then I'm just going to apply a blur. Go down here, lens blur. What I like to do, I see a lot of people when they do the trend, and then there's nothing wrong with this when I say this, obviously. They kind of just rotate the model, but then keep the background the same. Now, I don't know if that is supposed to be the trend or like whatnot, but with me, because I like to get creative and cinematic, I want to actually make it look like you're at a Dutch angle and it's like, you're on a slant. The camera is on a slant. So what we could do is once you've imported your background, I'm mainly using this one just because it's got quite clear detail and you can see sort of like in the foreground the horizon line in a way. So what we can do is just down here, you're going to rotate. And the key thing to look out for when you're rotating your background is, especially if you want it to be accurate, is if you see here, you can see the horizon line, you want this line to match your shoulder line. So you want it to be in line with your shoulder here. That way you kind of know that you have done it correctly and that it is at a right angle. So I want to say about there is probably good. Okay, and there we go. Sorry, I did have to cut here just because it took me a little while to remember how to shape this, because I will say if you do have a smaller image background, then it will be a little bit harder to position. If you do have like a full screen 1920 by 1080 or have a big, then it will be a lot easier to position. But for right now, if you're using a smaller image, as you can see, I've done 2 on the x-axis, -1 on the y-axis, and then about 29.26 on rotation, max scale, and then that's kind of it for the positioning. If you're not happy with it, then you can just tweak the rotation, like I said, position. But for now, I think this is pretty fine. It looks kind of cool. And then now we're just gonna get into the actual effects side of things, which is what this main tutorial is going to be about. So first things first, we go over to the effects tab, and then I have already set it to diffusion. I forgot to mention, sorry. So obviously yours will probably look like this. Um, but you can either choose set to be a bit more subtle with normal, or go with diffusion. So in this case, I'm going to go with diffusion. And then I might even add a filter. So there are none here. I normally find natural sharp looks really nice, especially with more darker backgrounds. Go natural deep, which also looks pretty nice. Deep V2, which brings a lot more color. And then you kind of get a bit more of your creative choices in these sort of colors. But for now, I think after going through all of them, I might actually go with DV2 kind of looks nice, but I guess for this, I'll probably just go with natural sharp. First things first that we're going to want to do is the essentially wrap lighting to blend them in the scene. So in this case, I'm going to do this rather than do it over here. I'm going to do it on the layer specifically. So in this case, let's go over to your VTuber layer, and then you want to find the one that kind of looks like a circle with a little shaded bit at the top, and click rim light. And as you can see, immediately it's already casting a really nice edge shadow, edge light, I should say, around the model. And then now we can even come down here and customize this a bit. So right now we do want to do a single one. And we can kind of go two ways with this. So we can either do the light that's being cast over the back, or we could do it as sort of like moonlighting. So if we wanted to do more moonlighting, we can just do, I guess, like bump the intensity up to about 0.8. And then size, you can kind of go do whatever you want with this. If you do that, it kind of looks like a really heavy spotlight. But if we go maybe about 0.5, that's pretty good. Then angle, it's already at a pretty good angle. I guess if it was also moonlighting, could even do both sides like this. But because this sort of area is significantly darker, I want to kind of just stick with single light. And then maybe if I'm going off the light in the background, if we just go up here, or even use the color picker tool, we can select sort of the light back there, and obviously it's going to be really dark. We can bump it up about there. It's a bit too red actually, so what I'll do is I'll take it back down to orange, and maybe do that color there. It's pretty nice, especially on the skin part here. So yeah, we can do that. And then there you go. There's your edge lighting. Now this, once again, it's going to be very dependent on your background. So the settings I have here, might not work for everyone, but this just works for the scene. So definitely pay attention to where your light source is coming from in sort of background if you want to get that really nice seamless blend. And yeah, so that's that for the actual like model effects. If you want as well, if you're finding that your model might look a bit too dark, you can go back into YouTube Studio. So you can't see this, but right back on your display lighting, you'll see on your color config, it will say brightness. You can just bump that slider up. I'm going to put mine just 50, like so, just to bring the actual like model lighting itself back up. Now back into Shoost here. And there we go. Model's a little bit brighter so you can see details a little bit better. Okay, then for the next effect, this one's going to be a really subtle one, but I like doing this just because it really sort of bumps some of the lighting up, especially in your background. So for example, because we are using just quite a beautifully drawn background, but because it's quite flat, because we've blown it up and obviously it's blurred, what we're going to do is we're going to add a glow effect to it. So if you on your Shoost, if you look over here on your background layer, you can see there is like a sun icon that is your glow. So if we click that, obviously it's going to blow it up. Looks horrible. Don't worry, we're going to fix that. So what we're going to do is once you've added that effect, scroll on down, and then you can see that you have the glow slider. We're going to bump this all the way up. And as you can see, now it looks like it's basically turned off. But we're just going to slowly come down. And as you can see, it's picking up the lightest parts of your scene first, because you're kind of filtering out things in the scene. So with this, because it's not quite, yeah, I'll boost the radius as well to max, but we're going to bump it down literally ever so slightly, very subtly, just to sort of bring out some of those parts. So very minor, you probably wouldn't need to do this, but I'm going to set mine to there just to bump some of those up. And I might even do the same on my model layer for lighting. So if we do that, see the glow brighter than the sun, but it's fine. But then we're just going to go down here. And then as you can see already, we slowly come down. You can see this sort of edge lighting really sort of lighting up there. We're going to just, and it's same with the eyes as well. So if we're going to just 0.9, we'll do maybe like max radius just to get that really nice haze. And there you go. Just once again, really subtle, but really sort of pops those kind of edge lighting quite nicely. This one is like, I like to do this with no matter what I'm making in Shoost, but obviously you have your camera here. And then if you just click this little hand icon, you then enable camera shake. Essentially what this is going to do, as you can see, is now there is a very subtle movement to my camera. This kind of just gives like a really nice handheld effect, which I kind of like. It makes your scene feel a lot less static, and kind of gives more motion to it. And it kind of makes it like really helps it kind of come alive a bit. And then this one will probably be the last one to my knowledge. So if I did leave anything out, please let me know. But this one, obviously, because it is a snow scene, once again, this is going to be purely dependent on your background. I'm going to use the weather effect up here. And then, see, it's going to just default with rain. I'm going to come down and do snow. Then as you can see, immediately that is completely sort of bringing this scene to life a bit, and all that. Unfortunately, you can't shift the direction. So obviously, although we are at an angle, the snow is just falling straight down, which can kind of ruin the effect a bit, but you know, just kind of imagine it's very, you know, windy or whatnot. And there you have it. That's kind of it really. And this can kind of essentially, you can use this for any background. Like I said, it's a surprisingly super seamless tutorial. Like there's not really all that much to it, other than the positioning side of things, and then just being able to acknowledge your light sources in your background, where it's coming from, and then just doing little subtle things to really sort of sell the effect. Obviously, if you do want to use VTube Studio effects, you can. So, for example, if you wanted to add a more, like you have your model having like more of an eye glow or like some of that, you can do that in obviously VTube Studio. The only thing though is some effects may make your model quite dark, so you need to like just remember to boost it up a bit if you just want it to, you know, you want to see it clearly. I will show you another example. I'm going to use a background that will probably be in the thumbnail, and it's actually going to fit the screen. So I'm just going to get a new background. See, it's going to be super bright. I'm going to scale it all the way back down so it's size I want it. Fix the positioning as well. So I don't need to worry too much about the positioning. Uh, Very bright, so I probably will turn the glow off real quick. I might even, yeah, there you go. I can literally just do 0, 0, and that works fine. Ring light, just set it to both sides. Optic tool, that, but maybe we can make it like purpley if we wanted to. Now, obviously, with a background like this, you don't want to really put, you can put glow on it. You just need to, essentially, you will need to just put the threshold super high. So come back to the threshold like this, and we just literally tiny bit, like literally 0.9.7, maybe lower. There you go. You can kind of see it's just highlighting that sort of middle part of the moon, like so. Another one that I like to do, I think it's a weather effect. It's the smoke. Yeah, I like smoke on this one, but I'll drop the opacity maybe 0.4, maybe even lower, 2. And then there you go. Adds a bit of atmospherics. If you do find, like in this case, so my model is quite bright at the moment, you can just come back into studio, go back into your settings, drop the brightness down to like 5. Sorry, I'm just switching. And there you go. Just by dropping down to 45, I'm not like nowhere near as bright. And there you have it. That's essentially all there is to it. That is like I say, it's just really not that too bad of a effect. And like the effects, you can get creative if you wanted to. Like if you wanted to add some UV filters or anything like that, or mess around with the effects. Like I say, it's all personal preference. Like you don't have to take what I say. If you wanted to be more creative, more stylized with it, you can. Like just go crazy. But yeah, moral of the story is that is how you achieve the Dutch angle. Literally just rotating a character, finding the either horizon line or foreground line that lines up with the shoulder, and then yeah, just pay attention to your lighting and everything, and then you go crazy with the effects. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Um, Sorry it took quite a while to put out. I know I said probably like 2 different times over on Twitter that I would I would record the video sooner. I will probably do a part 3 when there is a say an effect or something that comes up um that you guys want to see. So thank you guys, and if there is anything, let me know down in the comments if I missed anything. Since I'm still kind of getting used to making these sorts of videos, but and I will catch you guys in the next one. See you later.